and welcome to this edition of Roman Rants. I'm your boy Ro, contributor for State of You and OG member of the Orange Bowl Boys. Hey, I know you're saying, it says X's in row. Yeah, it's X's in row. Little change of format here. Instead of fielding the questions from online and answering them to the best of our ability, we're just going to type in Miami Hurricanes in the search bar and just provide commentary. Have some fun with it. Once again, shout out State of You. Follow us online, all your social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, IG. You can go ahead and see our presence there. Season, a lot of articles coming out daily, including ones from myself. A lot of talented writers there. And got to give a shout out to my managing editor, Cam Underwood from Underwood Sports, left side. Let's go. So, one of the first things, article comes up from Barry Jackson, very talented writer for the Miami Herald. Not going to get into all of it. I don't want to disrupt the plagiaristic integrity here. But in this case, talking about, Leonard Taylor coming in, being impressive, a body change from Jordan Miller. That defensive tackle group, let's talk about that real quick, because obviously you're going to lose some defensive end talent from a year ago, right? You had somebody go in the first round. You had Quincy Roche. Hey, great game the other day, Quincy. I saw you get a sack for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Good job. Hopefully you make that squad. But now I think if Miami could go ahead and focus inside, they got some talent and some depth there. Obviously, Nesta, that's a big question and concern. Is he going to materialize into that player that everybody thought he was going to materialize into? And then he's going to be opposite Harrison Hunt, who showed some very big flashes last year, especially doing all my film review. And then you're going to have a guy like Ford and Miller who transformed his body. Once again, credit to like Bill Bellamy, nutrition down there, getting those guys' body right, and obviously Feely fit. They're paying some dividends. Miami's starting to look like I hate to say it, but an SEC team. They've always built them a little bit bigger down there. It's always noticeable when you play those guys, especially when Alabama comes into town for a couple weeks. But I really like this inside rotation, and I think Taylor as a freshman is going to be a wild card. He comes in as the number one defensive tackle in the land, and somebody of that prominence, you got to get him in. You have to. You're going to have to get him involved. You're going to have to get him in the rotation. Got to get him in a mix. He's number one for a reason. You hope that it's not just flash and talk. You hope that it's substance. And from all reports coming out of camp right now, it is substance for his size. He's got a really, really quick first step. And you're going to need that to get on their side of the field, and let's meet at the QB. And I know that's not our current, I'm talking about Kuligowski. That was his handle. Still, I think it's one of the best Twitter handles of all time. Let's meet at the QB. But Jess Simpson, difference maker. I really love his coaching ability. Last time he was associated with the program, they had a really, really big jump in terms of the defensive line. So I think if the defense is going to take the next step, you got some quality coaches here, including Jess Simpson. So really excited about that defensive tackle group, and you're going to need it. Like I said, you're going to need it. You don't have those defensive ends that you had from a year ago. You got some questions there. Are they going to go ahead and step up to the mode? But anytime you lose somebody in the first round, going ahead to replace that's no easy feat. So even Alabama has some, they're constantly putting out draft picks over and over, but even from particular position to position, it's not, sometimes they might have a gap between a first rounder and the next rounder. So there we go. Scrolling down, we're just, like I said, we're just going to go ahead and continue. Football. Look, TVD. I see a picture of him. Really contentious battle there. OBB brand ambassador Tyler Van Dyke, between him and Jake Garcia. And Tyler Van Dyke killed it last practice. A lot of balls that were only where his receivers can catch the ball. He's very, very capable. Miami has a bright future at the quarterback position moving forward. It's very interesting to see. I'm gonna go on a limb here too. I'm gonna sit there and tell you that I have a feeling who's going to be the number 2 quarterback coming out of camp, right? And it's going to be Jake Van Dyke or Tyler Garcia. Yeah, I think they're just going to be a 2A, 2B, right? If you're Manny, if I'm Manny in that situation, you don't want to alienate one or the other. Now, clearly, if there's something that is separating the two, which I don't necessarily think is going to be the case, I think they're always going to be nipping at each other's heel in terms of who's going to battle who might have a better day one day versus the other day. But in terms of capability, I've always liked Tyler Van Dyke. I've always praised him, even when the Jake Garcia train came in and the hype, and it was almost like a write-off. But I'm like, no, don't write off this young man just yet, not even close. But in this case, I just want you to – I think it's just smart for Manny to just say all year they're both 2A, 2B in terms of that. We know who number 1 is. That's our Ferrari with feet, De'Ara King. But in this case, good to see and good to hear the reports that the quarterback position moving forward is in good hands, because that is the thing, Miami Hurricane fans. That is the thing that has eluded us, right? I'm going to default to there was basically over the tenure that Miami's been in the ACC, they've done really well sending their constituency for their position groups out, except quarterback. It was 6th in the ACC in terms of putting out draftable NFL quarterbacks. That needs to change. That needs to either be 1, 2, no less than 3. If you're going to do what you need to do, and if you think of just the ACC winners, right? The ACC winners of the national championship. You had Trevor Lawrence, right? Okay, you had Trevor Lawrence. You had Deshaun. You had Jameis Winston. Those are the guys that got their respective teams to the precipice of a national champion. You're going to have that special quarterback take you to the next level. So that has to come back. And speaking of quarterbacks at the next level, there he is right there. I knew it. Gino Toretta, a Heisman winner, obviously national championship winner. That's what I'm talking about. All right. That is what I'm talking about in this case, that Miami, you have to be good on offense. You have to be good on defense, but you have to have a special quarterback too. The Miami Hurricanes are not going to win a national championship if they don't have a special quarterback. Period. End of story. I don't care how great their defense is. I don't care how great the playmakers are. You can have the best offensive line in the country. It's always going to go to QB1, the most important position group on the field. And then obviously Deandre Johnson, he's coming in from Tennessee. We're going to look to him. All reports early, they have him penciled in as a starter as one of the defensive end positions. Talking about how he has finesse, but he can go ahead. He's a finesse defensive end, but he can go ahead and provide power when he needs to. Okay, that's fine. Just going to have to count on him. Like I said, once again, that is a position group that is coached by Jess Simpson. If there's any doubt that I've had all year long, the doubt was subsided by the fact that we have a really, really good prominent position coach coaching them. So looking forward to this young man. Like I said, transfer portal's been good to us. Not always great because you got the Tate Martells of the world. That was a unique situation and circumstance. But when you got some of the guys that we've gotten, from Buffalo, from Tennessee, from Houston, we're doing. Hey, shout out to KJ Harris too. Immediately on his depth chart, he's number 3 this year. So good for you, young man. Definitely represents the Miami Hurricanes nation very, very well. The family, better said. He represents the family to an outstanding level. So good for him. Came in here, was immediately a captain. Great job, great work. So like the transfer portal for the University of Miami, they need to continue to do it. And I think Deandre Johnson's going to fit in that mold. So one of the things that came out this week as well is, De'Aaron King. There's our Ferrari of feet. We talked about it. We know who QB1 is. Made big, huge news because his name and likeness, probably the biggest one that I've heard. I know Master P's son got some $1 million deal, but that's precarious. That's unique. With the Florida Panthers. Panthers go! So, yeah, I mean, that is huge. Partnering up with the local South Florida NHL hockey team, and he's basically going to be one of their brand ambassadors as well, just, kind of give them shout-outs. So you want to talk about transfer portal and the ability to profit off your likeness. We've always said University of Miami has a big media market. It could pay dividends, especially if you play that quarterback position. So there you go. Good for you, young man. And you know what? Florida Panthers, you couldn't have picked a better ambassador for your brand because De'Aaron King is a special human being beyond being a quarterback. He is a special, special human being. If you follow him for any time, if you listen to the young man speak, he is a prominent and proud ambassador for the program. Very humble. I always appreciate that about that. I like confidence. I'm a bravado guy. I always like that confidence. But when it's all said and done with, I like that humble of spirit nature as well. On the field, I'm going to tell you I'm number one. But, when we're off the field, I'm a human and I'm looking out for other people, not just myself. And that personifies De'Aaron King to a T. So very, very good prominent news right there for the University of Miami there. Now, they also made some waves this week because number 16. I think that's fair, top 25, which that's just a funny number, right? The top 25, it's, you keep increasing the amount of Division I schools, the way I like the FBS programs every year. So the top 20, it's not even an even number. It's just the top 25. I just think it sounds good, or top 20. But I think 16, that's fair. Now, I made waves on social media, and I did it on our Orange Bowl Boys podcast because I predicted an 8-4 season, and everybody wanted to go ahead and throw sticks and stones. And it's more of I'm going to be honest. I'm going to get you behind the curtain on why I made that prediction. It's more of a show me. That's literally as it is. If the Miami Hurricanes went off and rattled off 10 wins this year, excluding a bowl game, I'm not surprised by it because I understand that they have a really, really good team. But year after year after year, when I've predicted, 10 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins, and we haven't gotten there, I just hedged my bet, and I said, you know what? 8-4, you win a bowl game, you're 9-4, which is a respectable season, mind you. It's not a bad season whatsoever, especially with the track record of since we've joined the ACC. You probably want to take that, and I know that to much of the Miami Hurricanes fans' chagrin. So the 4 losses, but I'm like, listen, Alabama, no one expects you realistically to win that game. I wouldn't even put you in the puncher's chance. Maybe a puncher's chance. I'll give you a slight puncher's chance to win that game, and it's not a good one. Nobody expects you realistically. Nobody's going to pick the University of Miami Hurricanes except those big, huge homers to win that game. And then you got an App State team that's going to be hungry. I think Miami handles its business. I think they handle their business against Michigan State. Look for me in the tailgate section, that Michigan State game. We're definitely setting that up. So Orange Bowl boys, I'll definitely rep the state of the U there at that tailgate. So please come stop on by. I'll get some more of that information through social media. Would love to meet you. So I think they're good, but that ACC, man, that ACC is a lot more detrimental than people want to give it credit for. They're like, with this schedule was cannibalized Miami for years. The UNC is another game that realistically, especially after last year and being 0-2, I think Mac Brown probably has his number, especially of his former employee and Manny Diaz, who he had once fired there at Texas. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's North Carolina is not an easy game. We used to call them, it's a basketball school. It's a basketball school. And I remember with Larry Coker when they beat us, and Larry, was that Duke or NC? And they're like, how did we lose to a basketball school? And we've been losing to these basketball schools. Pitt on the road is going to be a tough game. I never liked playing Pitt. That Narduzzi defense has always been problematic. Kind of derailed our magical season from a few years ago when we went up there and kind of and they kind of provided a blueprint, and Miami Hurricanes just went into a bad season after that. Obviously, we had a changing at guard. That's when Mark Richt left the program, especially after having a wonderful season the year prior. So it just kind of goes and shows you, it's just the ACC is tough. So 8-4 to me is safe. I mean, if I said 9-3, nobody bats an eye. I don't think so, because I'm like, hey, 9-3, we're going to be 10 wins with the bowl game, and everybody thinks that's fair. But I just added one more loss to the mix, and that's just going to be a loss that the University of Miami should not have, right? They should not do this. But notoriously, Miami has lost to somebody they shouldn't. And that's what I want from this program as they continue to move forward. Just beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And it's real easy. Well, who are the teams that they're supposed to beat? The consensus who are they're being picked to beat. If they're all consensus being picked to beat Virginia Tech, then by all means beat Virginia Tech. If Virginia Tech beats you, that's not a game you should lose. You should not lose a game to App State. You should not lose this game to Michigan State. They had a horrible season last year. They're reeling. That is a game that you should win, especially being at home. The good news, though, and I'm going to close this with good news, right? Internally, I always feel like I'm an optimist, right? 8-4 sounds pessimistic, but I'm telling you, it's a show-me record. Show me you're better than this. That's all I'm saying. Show me you're better than this, please. I want you to. I've been in your corner for years and years and years telling you 10 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins. This year, I'm just not doing it, all right? Call it stubborn. But here's the good news. Miami is doing really, really well at a particular position group right now in recruiting. Manny Diaz went out, and he basically assembled some really good recruiters. DeMarcus Van Dyke and T-Rob, respectively, right now. I think if there's any top 10 corner in the nation right now, they're going to look at Miami because of those two. Batman and Robin on the trail, they're killing it. Killing it. Manny Diaz said something last year to me, and it always stuck with me. He basically said you have to win games close in the ACC. That's just how this division is. That's true. Miami has had to win some of these games. They haven't always been blowouts. They haven't been going away. Sometimes we'll blow out a team like Florida State, and Florida State turns around and beats North Carolina last year. It's the Atlantic Cannibalism Conference. That's what the ACC stands for. Everybody just eats at each other. But then he said a caveat. He said, until you have the talent like Clemson, that's when you could go ahead and pull away. And that's what he's trying to do. He's just trying to amass that talent. That's what you needed. You didn't have the talent at a particular position group. He turns around and he ups it. And that's, what can you do? That's what you do. If you perceive something that's broke, you try to fix it. You try to jettison your program into the next stratosphere and beyond and beyond and beyond. You know who you have to chase. You have to get to Clemson, and that's the level you need to get to before you finally get up into that rarefied air. You catch them and you beat them, then you're in playoff discussion. Then you're in national championship discussion. It all has to go through them. It does. It's the same thing that happened with Alabama and Nick Saban. It was Urban Meyer and the Florida dominance. It was there, and they couldn't beat them, and they couldn't beat them, and then they meet them in an SEC championship game. They overtook them. They knew what it took. They kept working for that moment, and then the rest is dominance to which I've never seen. And I've seen all the Miami Hurricane championships. The first one, obviously, I was a little kid, but from then on, I have recollection of them, even as a small child, and into my young 20s when I watched the University of Miami Hurricanes win their last national championship in 2001. You have to get to a certain level, and you do that by stacking chips. And I really, really appreciate what those two at the cornerback position have been able to do, because that is going to pay dividends. Now you continue to recruit well, and honestly, recruiting in general, I like recently what they've done at the quarterback position. Okay, they got Jakari Brown coming in as well. That's 3 years in a row where you've gotten blue chip talent at that position. It wasn't too long ago where you had the Jake Heaps of the world, the Spencer Whipples, who were like basically coming into play. You're never going to win a championship with those guys, and no, disrespect to them whatsoever, but they were never counted on to go ahead and lead this program to the prominent land. And then, so the quarterback position's good. Wide receiver, it's just we got to get them clicking on the field. It still blows my mind that, Pope was ahead of Smith, right, in terms of that. But Pope obviously didn't get the career that Smith has, Smith turning around and being the Heisman winner from last year. So we just got to get those guys. We're getting them. We just need them to step up on the field. So running back position, I feel good there. We've recruited well. Offensive line has a lot of depth. I think we're recruiting good there. Tight end, we're tight end U. We're good there. It's just cornerback that was not where it needed to be, and linebacker needs to kind of pick up. But I'm optimistic because it is. It is picking up. It is picking up. We are stacking the blue chips. Yes, you're the blue chip guy. Yeah, I always get yelled at by the other Orange Bowl boys because they do. But you can't win. Nobody's been able to win a national championship without a certain amount of talent and players. Nick Saban, as great as you are, and we're about to face you in a few weeks, and I personally have nothing but all the respect of the world. I think you're the greatest college head coach in my lifetime. I don't think that's even going to change. You are it. But there is no doubt in my mind, if you turn around, you get Nick Saban, and you let him go ahead and coach FIU, he's not winning a national championship. You turn around and you put him at Georgia Tech, he's not winning a national championship. You put him at FSU, he's probably a little over 500, and I'm being honest. It goes hand in hand. The head coaches need the horses, and the horses need the head coaches. So that's it, Roman Rants. I appreciate you allowing me to do this. This was super fun for me. You guys, like I said, keep following along on State of the U. Articles are coming out weekly, including this is going to have some commentary and an article write-up as well as I embed the video into the article. And check us out on the Orange Bowl, boys. But as always, go Canes.